Hey, it's Caitlin and Adam. To be our next guest on Enta Ask, click the link below. Enjoy the episode. Hey again, I'm Caitlin Bullock.
And I'm Adam Colazetti.
And this is the next episode of Enta Ask. Today, we have Sean Carter from Calgary Contents. And they actually save your memories one item at a time. What does that mean, Sean?
So it basically means that after disaster, my company will go into your home and we'll take out all of your contents. And we will save all the items we can, one item at a time, in a specialized manner.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that is an amazing service that you provide.
Yeah.
How did you get into this?
Well, a little over a decade ago, I had a client that completely changed my life. I just started with the position. 2 weeks into it, after doing all the paperwork and collecting everything that I needed, we got a call for a category 4, which is a sewer backup.
Oh.
We went, and I remember driving through the particular part of Calgary thinking, you know what, if there was ever going to be a loss, it was going to be here. Take a look at the neighborhood, take just the vibe that you were getting. We got to the gentleman's house, and this tall, dark figure was standing in the window. Tattered jeans, disheveled shirt, and I'm trying to get out of the truck with a kit bag that had my PPE in there with gloves and whatnot. He opens the front door, and I remember taking a few steps out of the vehicle and walking up, and this pungent aroma just completely took me off guard. As we got closer, the aroma started to grow. I'm reaching into my bag, trying to get my gloves and my booties on. Anybody could tell I was a first day rookie kind of guy.
Right, your stuff's all clean. And...
All clean.
Yeah.
He looked at me, he looked at my partner. My partner explained who we were and invited us into the home. As soon as we walked through the threshold of the door, the smell just got worse and worse. Not knowing about this type of environment, again, I'm taken back. My facial expression showed him that I wasn't happy with where I was. The house obviously had kids in there. There was pizza boxes and clothes scattered in the living room, in the kitchen as we turned the corner. Dishes, more food, and then the basement door opened. And when the basement door opened, I actually took about a step and a half back. The homeowner turned around and he saw me, but he didn't say anything. We walked to the bottom of the stairs. He reached up and he turned on a couple of lights. Then he turned around and he didn't look at my partner any longer. He looked directly at me. He said, "Well, come on in, boys. Let me show you around." So there was still affluent on the floor. It had already been vac trucked up, but you could tell water marks were there and there was damage. He said, "My boys have this corner where there was a couch, a TV, and some video game consoles. Floor was scattered with toys." He says, "It's all wet." We looked over at the washing machine. You could see the level of contamination where it rose. And we looked at his hockey bags. And he said, "Look at it, it's all wet." Then he walked over to a telepost where he basically collapsed on the telepost and he started to sob. He said, "I just want you guys not to judge me for what you see here today." And he looked up at me and he said, "When my oldest son was 8, my wife and I separated. Because I wasn't a good husband, I wasn't a good man. It took us 4 years for me to make that change and for us to get back together again. After we got back together again, it was about a year, my wife was diagnosed with cancer. She left us 6 months ago, and this happened. Every day my oldest son comes and tells me, 'Dad, it's going to be okay.' Well, no father needs to hear that from his son. That's when my partner dropped his book bag. I was still in kind of a little bit of shock because there was all this on the floor. And he knelt down next to the gentleman and put his arm around him. And he said, "You know what? We'll be okay. We change lives." And at that point in time, I remember thinking, why are you telling this guy we change lives? It's the corniest thing I've ever heard. Then he looked back up at me and he said, please don't judge me. And I knew that he wasn't talking to anyone but me. And then he got up, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, I'll leave you guys alone. So at that point in time, I didn't smell anything anymore. I was well past it. My partner said, we have to do everything we can to help this man in his situation. And we set about doing what we do. We took some general photos of the area. He pulled a file out of the book bag and he started to read it. He says, oh no, this poor gentleman is so underinsured. If we put any of our assets into play, it will be too much and he won't get anything to replace any of his son's belongings. So I said, well, yeah, we have to do something for him. He says, I'll tell you what, reach into my bag and get the luminol reader. So I just kind of stood back a bit and I said, what, a what? He said, little black box with some cotton swabs. So I picked up the box and the swabs and I handed it to him. I said, what does that do? He says, in order for us to clean everything in here, we have to have a control, which is a clean area that wasn't touched by the water. And we have to know how dirty it is what we're trying to clean. And that was my awakening moment. That was like my Game of Thrones moment. Holy smokes, they got a dragon.
Right.
So
Right.
we did that. We got the readings and we went back to the shop. And my partner, he taught me the beginning of everything that I know. And we started to do as much for that family as we could. He was able to get all of his belongings back and then some.
All of them?
He got everything back.
The hockey bag?
The hockey bags, but anything that we couldn't clean, we had donated. So my partner gave me those key building blocks. And that old saying that everyone says, don't ever judge a book by its cover. Well, in my book, there's many chapters, and that is the biggest chapter of them all.
Wow.
And that's how I got into the industry, just because of one gentleman and what he said to me and what we had to do to get to the end of the file.
So you didn't just save memories, you're really changing people's lives.
We try.
That's amazing, Sean.
Yeah, wow. And what I think is just so incredible about that story is, you come into this guy's house and yeah, you have a job to do, but first you take a moment and really see the individual and say I see you. I feel for you what's going on. We're here to help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we're going to do, right?
Absolutely.
That's really powerful. Now, you mentioned something to me before. So on the next episode, you're going to tell me what sets you guys apart. And you said something about chinchilla powder.
Yes, chinchilla powder.
I gotta know. In the next episode, Sean from Calgary Contents is going to tell us what the heck is chinchilla powder. So stay tuned.
I have a feeling that Sean has all sorts of tricks up his sleeve. So let's find out. So Sean Carter, everybody. Sean, tell us, how can we reach Calgary Contents?
Well, you can go to the website at www.calgarycontents.com or info@calgarycontents.com.
Excellent. We'll put that in the description below, guys, so check it out, click on them. Also, check out their YouTube and Facebook page. They've got some really funny videos. These guys are characters. They've got great personality as well as great skills. Thanks so much, Sean, for being on our show.
Thanks for having me.
We have a lot more great stuff for you, so stay tuned for the next episode to see what we learned.